people, here we are. Block Party's out. I'm your host, Mike Wall. Thanks for watching. If you're enjoying, please subscribe, rate, and review on X, Twitter, Process to Perform on Instagram. You can follow us on our Process to Perform channel on YouTube. Our show is always sponsored by Bet Online. Let me get this read, but before we get that, let's just go right to it. We're lucky today, man. I know we have mini camps, OTAs, all this stuff. You know, I hate talking about that. We got a special treat today. This is one of my favorite young Packers. Mr. Karl Brooks was a 5-year starter at Bowling Green. PFF had him first team All-American, I think his senior year. Do I have that right, Karl?
Yes, sir.
Somehow, now I don't know your combine times, and somehow he dropped to the 6th round. Green Bay picks this guy up, 6'3", 296, absolute unit. First year, 20 tackles, 4 sacks, 1 forced fumble, the one against Detroit, right? On Thanksgiving. Yep. Yeah, we got two fumble recoveries, and I know you had against the Vikings. You know, you had that blocked field goal, countless pressures, like a guy who just you made it look easy for a rookie. You got a nose for. I just say this guy's got a nose for the football. Anyways, Karl, thanks for joining the show. Really excited about it.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me on here.
This show is sponsored by Bet Online. Bet Online is your number one source for the NBA Finals and Stanley Cup playoffs this season. Every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino. That should be fun. And get it on the game of blackjack or poker, or unwind one of our over 150 slot games. So head to the website today, get on the action, use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. Karl, let's just talk ball. You come in, and listen, there's first round draft picks, there's all this stuff you got to deal with, right? You're coming in 6th rounder. Mm-hmm. Bowling Green's not I'm a small school guy. Bowling Green's not like a Power 4 school. 6th round pick, but it just didn't seem like it just seemed like you fit in from the jump. And the tape doesn't lie. Eventually you keep getting more time and more time and more time. Like, were you surprised? Was the NFL easier than you thought it was going to be?
Most definitely not. I feel like the NFL definitely lived out to its expectations. I just really had to come in and adapt and get used to the culture and get used to the scheme of things, to working hard every day and to going up against the best competition every day, and it just molded me into the player that I'm becoming.
When you say that, so you were a 5-year starter though at Bowling Green, so like you're coming in with a little more experience than a lot of these guys, right?
Yeah, pretty much. But I kind of say I ain't really had the experience that I wanted. Bowling Green had me playing edge, and then I come in playing interior, so I really didn't have the experience inside to opposed to outside. So I feel like I was playing field with everybody.
So when you come in like that, so I know I was just trying to read up on you, and you were looking to go to Division II before Bowling Green saw that potential. You're playing defensive end again, like all this other stuff, the way you fall in the draft, all the whatnot. Are you one of those guys? I'm a small school guy, and I remember I came in from the Naval Academy, and we were running option offense. Like, I didn't even know how to take a pass set, right? I know it doesn't look like it now, but I used to play left guard, but I didn't even know how to take a pass set from day one, right? So you do come in with this, at least I did. I always came in like, I got something to prove. I got to work a little bit harder. Did you feel that way, or did you kind of feel like, no, I belong here? Like, day one, like, I guess you could feel both. You could feel like I belong, I should be here, but man, I really got some work to do because I'm a little bit behind maybe some of the guys that came in from bigger programs.
Yeah, like you said, guys coming from bigger programs, and me being a small school guy, I felt like, a lot of people looked at me like, man, he didn't play nobody in college. He don't deserve to be here. So I had a chip on my shoulder to go out there just to prove to everybody, even to prove to my teammates, like, look, man, I belong here too. And, I earned it, just all the hard work and, sacrifices through college and everything else. But I went in there with a chip on my shoulder, and I wanted to prove something like, hey, man, I can ball with anybody. So I even had that same thought process during the Senior Bowl, but that's another topic for something.
Yeah. That Senior Bowl's. I'll tell you what's funny about that Senior Bowl too is they're trying to get more and more of those, and there's really that is the premier one. And it's like if you get that invite, especially if you're a small school guy, like you get a lot of attention all of a sudden. And I mean, God forbid you win a 1-on-1 or two, like it's all over the way it happens. I mean, you're all over the internet. Excuse me. When you think about that first season, talk about like. Week 17 ends up, you guys end up losing in the second round to San Francisco. It's a great game. You've had a great year. You got just so much to build off of. Like, tell us about maybe the 2 or 3 things that you took away from that season that you just felt like, okay, I know exactly where I'm at. If I get better at these 2 things, like I'm going to work on this during the offseason. These are my goals. and so I can go into this kind of mini camp OTA period and then go into obviously into training camp with like a very, very confident foundation of where I'm going next.
Yeah, most definitely. So just going into that, coming off of college, coming off the Senior Bowl, and then going right into an NFL season. That season was long, so
Yeah.
I had like it was a mental game for me. Just keeping my mind in tune. Making sure I'm staying sharp, going to each day. Attacking practice, not getting lazy, not fall in love with the details. Like I'm trying to do all these things through a 17-week period. So that was a long season. So one, just get my mental right, get refreshed. Another thing, just really just my body just getting stronger, getting faster. I was getting pushed around a little bit. And just to me, it's like, man, that's not the type of player I want to displace on the field. So for me, it's just getting stronger and getting confident and understanding the scheme of things and how offenses is trying to attack and everything. And, really like the vet play I was playing against the guards, just how savvy they is with certain techniques that I wasn't aware of. So just learning all that type of stuff just throughout practice and throughout games, it was just a good experience for me. But I would just say just my mental part of the game and then just getting stronger and faster as well.
When you think about switching from edge and then coming in and playing D tackle too, I mean, like usually when you see in the league now, that could be a 40-pound difference. And
Hmm.
you just happen to kind of fit the mold of a guy who's playing it, especially in this day and age when you're playing a lot more nickel, like 295 pounds, 300 pounds as defensive tackle. You're right in the mix, right? But
Yes, sir.
but I think people don't understand because listen, Justin Tuck in that Super Bowl against Giants versus the Pats like 10 years ago, they move him
Mhm,
inside and the whole game changes because he
mhm.
destroyed Logan Mankins. Logan Mankins is an all-pro guard, but everyone just went, oh, like we can put rushers back into D tackle, back down to D tackle, and just start destroying these interior linemen. But the difference in like leverage, technique, the speed of like, talk about a little bit what you see as being different from edge to just going down and having to play with two, potentially three guys on you at every single snap.
Yeah, like, just being on the edge and being inside, I feel like it's two different things. Being on the edge, I feel like you're just more free. You got more space. You can mess up out there and then recover real fast, or think you can, run off the ball, get some speed build up. And I just feel like inside is just quick combat. You got to maintain your leverage each and every play. You don't know run pass, so you got to stay low. And then just, I feel like pass rush is just a bonus because just rushing tackles is more, just thinking about it, more athletically gifted than guards. So I feel like I was using my speed and quickness for pass rush sake. But then, I can see myself struggling a little bit with the run here and there with double teams and stuff like that. So that's what I kind of worked on all off season. And just going into the draft, I knew I wasn't going to be an edge anymore. So a 300-pound edge is not ideal. So I already knew that I was going to kick him down inside and play inside. So I got a little bit of training, at three technique nose and stuff like that before actual camp started. But I say that was like the real like difference for me is just the close combat. And inside, you really can't make a mistake. You make a mistake, you might get lifted off your feet or something
Yeah,
like
man.
that.
It's
So
yeah.
it's
If your hips aren't, they had this dude. You remember Red Bryant? You remember the name Red Bryant? Red Bryant. He,
red
he was
body.
he was a rookie for he played almost his whole career for Seattle, and he played the first like Pete Carroll's elephant end. It's
Uh
like the
huh.
only 300-pound defensive end in the league at the time.
Hmm.
Absolutely, they're rare, but like to your point, if you they aren't well, certainly us guards are not as athletic as tackles, but the thing is like if your technique isn't right, like you don't know how many
Yeah,
people are going to hit you. Like that's the real issue.
from
So when
different
you're
angles.
Oh yeah, yeah, it could become, and so
Yeah.
that's the name of the game. Like as you progress, learning the game within the game and learning how to study your opponent, tips, tells, and tendencies, and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure like you got great vets in that room now. I want to talk a little bit about what you've learned from those guys, but certainly I think mentally, once you get your technique down, everything becomes automatic. We won't talk about your pass rush a little bit, but once you get that stuff down, it literally just becomes like, okay, pre-snap, who's hitting me, who's looking at me, where's my, where are their feet different, are their hands different? What tells are they giving away? Because then like
Hmm.
then everything slows down a lot more. But when we think about think about that room, you got Preston Smith in there who's been around forever. Kenny Clark's been a pro in Green Bay for so long. Like, some of the things that those guys are teaching you during the year that made you switch up how you did things in college, like routine wise from a prep standpoint? Like, what have you really learned from those? I always think that players are the best mentors we can have, and just like to hear your thoughts on those guys in particular.
Yeah, most definitely. Kenny was probably my biggest like role model looking up to because last year we was in that 3-4, so we had two different rooms. So, being in his room and just seeing how he prepared for each and every game. He's been there, like you said, for a long time. And, we got day one install. He's writing everything down again, even though he knows it. He's writing it down. He's taking care of his body. And then I'm just watching him drill each and every day when we do drills outside. Like my eyes is glued on him and really just like the things he teach me is the things that he do day in and day out. Like words, he's great. Like he tells me what he sees coming. He's reading backfield, formations and everything like that. But just to see how he works each and every day, how he take care of his body, how's he a pro, and it's just amazing to see. Like I seen it firsthand. Like it's
Yeah,
nothing that Kenny really told me. It was just me watching him work day in and day
soaking
out,
it in.
and just soaking everything all in. And then I was like, all right, I'm trying to go repeat what he just did. So that's kind of how I looked at it.
How are you watching? Like when you think about watching tape now, you watch a guy like Kenny and how he studies tape and how he's trying to pick everything else up, and then you think about what you were doing in college. Like, how were you watching film in college? That was my biggest. I'm not doing any. I felt like I wasn't doing anything by the time I started learning from like vets in the league. I was like, man, I had no idea how to watch tape when I was younger.
Yeah, most definitely. So when I was in college, it started off pretty much like my freshman and like my junior year. I'm just watching the man I'm going against.
Yeah.
Like I'm watching his every move. I'm looking at his stances. I'm looking at how he punch. Is he a high hand? Is he a low hand puncher? Is he backed up off the ball? What is he doing? What is he like? What type of player he is? I wasn't looking at the bigger picture. I wasn't looking at down the distance. I wasn't looking at formations. I wasn't looking at none of that type of stuff. I was just looking at just the man I was going against and how can I win my 1 of 11. But when I came to the NFL, it kind of just opened my eyes and like you see everything. Like you just see the formation and you kind of get an idea and just play process of elimination. Like, and then in certain formation, they like to do these two things and I'm gonna get these two blocks so I can react off these two things. So it just made me play the game faster and things like that. But just far as that, I just feel like in college, I'm watching the man and I'm studying him and I'm looking at his kick steps. How many steps is he? Is he a vertical setter? Is he, deep setter? Is he gonna like quick set me? Far as, when I got to the NFL, it's all right. They far gun wide off. They like this play, and this play.
Yep.
Like so that's kind of my deal, how I was watching it back then and now.
Here's what's crazy though. Like here's my prediction. My prediction is you'll learn all that stuff and it'll be automatic. So you'll be like, all right, they're in Y off backfield motion here. Here's exactly you'll know it like this, and
Hmm.
then all of a sudden you'll go back to okay, now let me do this guy again
Exactly.
because that guy's gonna still tell you everything you want to know because
Hmm.
they're still giving you all the tips, right? It's just you get a lot more information. How far is the back offset? Does that mean he can go backfield? Does he have to do it outside pitch? He's gonna
Yeah, exactly.
all that stuff's not that. And I think when you get to like when you get in that sweet spot, like man, you're so how old are you now?
24. My
Oh,
birthday was just May 8th, just
oh,
passed.
okay. Well, yeah. So you're young now, and it's like in about 3-4 years, your mind and your body will be in like the exact same place, And
Hmm.
it's like that's when the game just comes. It gets completely slow, and all the stuff you're talking about, like you don't even have to think about it. And then you start studying that guy again. And it's like that guy, you just realize the guy's just like it's like you're watching the Matrix, man. There's just so much data coming at you. It's and it just looks like nothing to everybody else, but to you, it means something very, very specific, man. That is the sweet spot. So even though you guys had a 3-4, you guys are in so much nickel. I'm surprised that you wouldn't be meeting with the DNs and the D tackles together. That's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah,
What's
last year yeah.
let's talk about some so your pass rush moves. You're just talking about is he a flat setter, is he a vertical setter? You've got you've got a lot of stuff in your arsenal, right? You got the stab, you got the push pull with the arm over the rip, you got the double swipe, you got the stutter inside. Like you like to get off the ball. What do you think when you're thinking about putting together a game plan for somebody? And you probably know you're going to get X amount of reps during the game.
Hmm.
Do you work through a catalog of like, I want to show these guys, I want to set this guy by showing different things? You're like, no, I'm just going to go right to my, like, how do you think about that when you're preparing?
So, just studying a guy, it depends on like if we're in week one and
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying, this guard hasn't got hit with anything, you kind of go out there and you watch last year's tape.
Yep.
And I'm basing it off of what he was, uncomfortable with, what was he comfortable with. I'm looking at guys like pass rushers that got similar moves as me, similar body types as me. Because if you get like a defensive end kicking down on the guard and he hit him with a crazy spin move, I gotta know that's not me. That's not who I am as a pass rusher. So I'm trying to watch similar body types, and I'm just trying to see what hurts that guard. So a lot of times it just be speed off the ball. Sometimes it be power, and then sometimes you got to get your hands involved in it. Some guards is different. They all don't kick the same. They all don't shoot their hands the same. So it's really just studying that offensive guard, see what he got hit with that hurt, and then see what he covered up really well. And then I just try to attack those weak areas.
What do you think your best move is? What's your go-to? 3rd and 8, you got to have it.
3rd and 8, gotta have it. I'll probably stay speed rush, get off the ball,
Yep.
attack your outside shoulder. As soon as you throw your arms, I throw my arms. If you don't throw my arms, by the time I get to my spot, I'm going right to power on you.